Hello, Flirties. It's me, Benjamin, the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra here at Flirt Headquarters. This is the intro, the appetizer to the episode, if you will, the full conversation with Tricia Wise coming up in mere moments, all about STIs, herpes, sexual health, destigmatizing it all, how to have those conversations, disclosing status, testing, treatment options. It's all coming for you. But first, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for tuning in, for listening, for streaming, wherever you are in the world, whatever platform you're listening on. Thank you. All of this is for you. I do this for you. I can only listen back to my own podcast so many times. I can only play it back, run it back for my cat Sugar so many times before she's like, damn, Dad, put on some birds, some crickets, something. So thank you. And I invite you to please rate, review, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. Your ratings, reviews, your supports, your shares, your comments, it just all helps me so much to grow the show, attract all the guests and bring them on, have the conversations we have, and just empower you in your flirting lives, your dating lives, and today, your sex lives as well. So thank you for being here. Yeah, 5 stars wherever you're listening, maybe a written review on Apple, even a comment on YouTube or Spotify. Okay, we're getting into the full conversation now, the official intro coming up next. Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, we're getting real, raw, and radically open with the incredible Tricia Wise. You may know Tricia as the safe slut across social media. Tricia is a master esthetician, Reiki practitioner, sexual health advocate, herpes stigma breaker, and meme queen. And today, she's joining us to talk about something that, depending on the type, affects over 3 billion people around the world. It's herpes, y'all. In this episode, we're diving into Tricia's personal journey with HSV, that's herpes, the work she's doing to destigmatize sexual health, and how we can create more empowered, shame-free conversations around sex, our bodies, and dating. From navigating disclosure and diagnosis to reclaiming confidence, pleasure, and power, Tricia shares the truth behind the stigma and why it's time we start normalizing the conversation around herpes and STIs. We'll also talk treatment options, how to get tested, how and when to disclose status. Yeah, I said that. How to practice safe sex, and why herpes isn't the end of the world. So, whether you're navigating a diagnosis yourself, are dating someone who is, or simply want to learn how to be more informed and safe out there dating, this episode, it's for you. Let's drop the shame, turn up the self-love, and welcome the one and only Tricia Wise to the show. Let's do this, flirties, and meet Tricia. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and a Gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt. Flirties, on the show today is Tricia Wise, a master esthetician, Reiki practitioner, sexual health advocate, herpes stigma breaker, meme queen, and creator of the popular account Safe Slut on Instagram, to have a conversation with us about sexual health, dating, and so much more. Hello, Tricia. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. A requested guest from the Flirties.
Ooh, oh my God. Love that.
Yes. I do my Flirt Fridays on Instagram, answering dating questions, flirting questions every Friday, and got somewhat recently, like multiple weeks in a row, like, when are you going to do an episode with Safe Slut? When are you going to have Tricia on?
Cute. I love
here
that.
we
So
are.
you have a lot of herpes hotties on your page, I guess.
They must, yes.
They must be.
They are here. They are listening, probably following. Yes, you as well. And I'm really excited to bring this conversation to all the flirties today about herpes, sexual health, and just dating. We're going to talk about hookup culture and lots to get to. But up first, of course, we're going to learn a little bit more about you. And I thought it could be fun to talk about the word slut. What does that mean to you, Tricia?
So slut has always been a word used to kind of like demean usually women, or just I guess like anyone affected by the patriarchy, which I guess is technically everyone, but it's usually a negative word, or like seen as a negative. So, or it's just that someone would be like too promiscuous. And for me, like when I was diagnosed with herpes, aside from being diagnosed with herpes, I was slut shamed most of my life. So for me, it was a way to like reclaim the word. Yeah. So slut doesn't really have to be like, you don't have to be really promiscuous to be a slut. It's more of like a mindset of just like empowerment, focusing on yourself and your pleasure, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Because can I tell you what some of my affirmations are like?
Yes.
Right? Like I will get dressed. I will look myself in the mirror and I'll be like, damn, you hot slut.
Yes.
You know?
Love that. Yeah.
I might just be going to work. I'm running errands. Yeah. I'm going to the grocery store or whatever. But it really is a mindset. It feels very empowering to me.
Exactly. And I was having a conversation with someone earlier this week where I was like, I like romanticize my entire life. Like that doesn't mean sexual. Like everything in my life is slutty because that's what gives me, that's like my like life force, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I relate to that as well. I mean, I say flirt with it all.
Yeah. Flirt with everything, and everyone.
You've got to flirt with your life as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
flirt with yourself.
Please, for the love of God. I mean, Delulu is a salulu. If we don't have a little bit of delusion, I mean, how are we going to make it through?
Exactly. Well, I started to move away from the word delusional. I say dreamy. Dreamy. Yeah.
Okay. I love that word as well. I mean, fantasy, whimsy.
Whimsy. Yes.
Yeah. But I want to see a whimsy trend.
Yeah. I'm in for the whimsy.
Yeah.
I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. But what you were saying about the word slut, like it is oftentimes thrown about as a way to be demeaning, as a way to be derogatory, as a way to shame. Usually I feel women is who it's like, who the word is directed at. For somehow you're too promiscuous, you're too sexual, you're too provocative, you're too something, right?
Exactly. And it's always usually before that person has done anything. Like for me, like I was slut shamed the most when I like didn't have like penetrative sex at that point. Right. Like, yeah. And it's like, well, I haven't even done anything. Like you're just saying that because like how I'm dressing.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, correct. I dress slutty. Like I look fucking good. Like
eat it. You can't handle it.
Yeah. Like you're just jealous.
I know I'm hot. What are you going to do about it? Stare all you want.
Yeah. Take a picture will last longer.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I love that reclaiming of the word. Or maybe some flirties are listening and they're like, you know, I always had that within me. It was always reclaimed. But that for me, that wasn't, because it gets thrown about in the gay community and the queer community a lot too, that somehow, right, you're just too sexual or like whatever that means.
Like what does that even mean? Yeah. Like what's the limit? Like what's the capacity for too much sexual? Like
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm really I feel like in my own healing journey, we're all on one to some extent.
No, I've been on one for so long. I just finished my Saturn return. Like it was in Pisces, so we ended. So
yeah. So how would you describe like the phase of your healing journey that you're in? Kind of what are you going through right now?
I feel like the past year or two has been just like a wild ride. Mine has actually, so I don't know if you're into like astrology, but like my Saturn is in my 7th house. So like my biggest teacher is my like relationship. So it's been a wild ride. So most of my healing has been done through like dating and like intimate relationships. And yeah, it's been intense, but I've learned a lot. It's been mostly like kind of reclaiming like my like self-worth and like not seeking external validation, I think is the biggest thing, especially because I am such a lover girl, but not putting too much energy or like over giving to someone else and still making sure I have space for myself.
Yeah. Oh,
it's hard.
I love that.
I know,
it is hard, but so empowering too. And like, I feel like I relate to that a lot of where I'm at in my own healing journey. Like I feel like in this phase working on self-belief and self-confidence, and also stepping into like, I never have had a quote unquote like slut era. I've never had like a feral boy summer.
Now's the time.
I know. I posted secret. I have a close friends on Instagram. I'm saying that just between us. And I posted a very racy picture the other day. And I was like, feral flirt coach summer? Is it here?
I think it is. It might be here. I mean, time. It's summer now.
Yeah. I just want to explore pleasure. I feel like I've limited myself and my experiences with regard to pleasure, not necessarily physical or sexual pleasure, but just pleasure in general. for so much of my life. And I'm like, what if I just flipped the script, started focusing more on fun, pleasure, enjoyment, all of that good stuff, and just really working on self-belief, self-confidence as well. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I love that. I relate to that really hard. I think most of my 20s were like, that external validation. That's when I was still just dating men also. So it was like very performative. And like now that I feel like 30s have been like a nice healing journey so far of just, pleasure, not necessarily sexual, but just like letting myself enjoy things. And again, I before we started this, I was like, I had a slow morning this morning and like finally letting myself do that instead of waking up and being like, all right, let's start the tasks. Like,
just those moments of pause sometimes, those moments just to notice where like maybe I'm having my coffee and I just take 30 seconds to look out the window.
Yes, exactly. I know I made a little matcha this morning and just like chilled. And I watched, I watched, have you started watching Overcompensating?
Oh no, what's that?
Oh my God. It's the new show on Prime. It's, what's their Instagram? Benito Skinner, I think. Or no, it's Benny Drama. Okay. They just, it's like basically about their life and like their like kind of coming of age, coming out story.
I would be very interested. Yeah.
It's so good. So I've just been like binge watching that this morning instead of doing work. That's what I needed to do.
I'm going to add that. I'm looking for a show as
that's the show.
I'm sort of like cycling through some of my favorites as I'm waiting for some new things to start. I mean, of course, the new season of RuPaul's Drag Race has started, and I'm a Ru gay, so I'm going to be watching.
Same. Yeah. I actually haven't watched All Stars this season yet.
I feel like definitely when this is coming out, there's several episodes through, but I'm still very much, I'm getting a late start on this season.
Yeah. Once it's done, I think I'll watch. I'm always, when the actual season's going, I'm always every week I'm watching.
Yeah.
But All Stars, for some reason, I'm like, I'll catch up.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think maybe because like after All Stars 2, I was like, nothing can compare.
Oh my God. Iconic. That
nothing
season.
can compare to that. Yeah.
Wow. You're talking my language now.
Yeah.
I want to hear now a little bit more about you and some of the work you do, and how maybe the origin of your Instagram account. Yeah.
Yeah. So a little over 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with genital herpes because I was being a slut, not a safe slut. I was in my feral era at that point, which is fine. But I noticed that there was so much stigma around herpes or just STIs in general. And like, I didn't really I wasn't thinking about herpes at all when I was like having sex and like being really casual. Like I didn't even think about it. And then when I got it, I was like, why is no one talking about this?
Yeah.
And a lot of the like Instagrams that I did see about herpes seemed either very like medical focus, like not very digestible or fun, or there were accounts that were like, the message was just kind of like, I found my partner, like you'll find your partner. And I'm like, great, I know someone will love me with this, but like, how can I still be a slut? Can I still be casual? Can I go to play parties? Can I do porn? Like all these things that I like wanted to explore. I was like, is that a thing? So most of my page started out as like specific like herpes content that was more about like how to still be a slut with herpes.
Okay.
And then after a while I was like, oh my God, I have it. Like, I wasn't trying to make a platform. It just like, I was also like looking for community and just wanted to talk about stuff.
Yes.
And then once it kind of like took off, I was like, oh wait, like I have a platform. I can talk about slut shaming, like feminism, like all this like activist and just like type of stuff that like I want to talk about. And I love internet culture. So I can just like make memes and like fuck around. Yeah.
I love internet culture as well, especially social media. It's so fascinating. Fun. Like as much as I feel like I understand about it, there's still, it's always changing. It's always evolving. There's always a trend. There's always something new. There's always.
And that's like the good and bad. Like I love it and I love engaging, but then I feel so much pressure to keep up and like do stuff for the algorithm and like do the right sound. And like, I just don't think I can do that anymore. So I'm just going to fuck off and post what I want.
Well, you're crushing it. If there's anyone trendy on the internet, it's you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're really good at it. That's something I wish I were better at, were memes and sort of like the capturing the trendiness, sort of like the moment of what people are talking about, what people are thinking and feeling. And that's what I feel like one of the things you capture so well with meme culture. It's like it's this snapshot in time of pop culture sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like it's
so cool.
It's fun, but it's a lot to.
Yeah,
you're constantly creating. I will say that.
ABC.
For no money. For
Always,
no money. Yeah.
Oh, telling me always be creating for what?
Always be creating. Yeah, I know.
Because we love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. So I listened to a few interviews you did on some other podcasts, and I want to hear a little bit more about the part of your story of receiving a diagnosis. Because I got some questions from the flirties that are, they're nervous, right, to go to the doctor to make the appointment. They're like, what if the doctor or the professional judges them, or what if they get the diagnosis and they're maybe now fearful about, am I going to have this forever? How do I manage my symptoms? So talking a little bit about the process of receiving a diagnosis.
Yeah. So when I got it, I had actual symptoms and I didn't look at it and be like, oh, this is herpes. I was like, oh, something's wrong here. Like I have something. And like my roommates, like literally we took a flashlight to my vulva and was like, what is this? So I went to urgent care and she swabbed me. So like you can't get a swab, like a physical swab, unless you are showing symptoms. But the swab will be quick. Like you'll know in like 15, 20 minutes, like if it's negative or positive. It won't show you if it's HSV 1 or 2. It'll just say like negative or positive. Okay. So she saw it and knew it was herpes, didn't say it, but she swabbed me. And she was like, when I come back, we'll talk. And I was like, hey, slay. And so then she was like, it was positive, but she was like, you should get a blood test just to like double confirm / you can know if it's HSV 1 or 2. Because you can have either or both HSV 1 or 2 genitally. And usually people associate HSV 1 just with cold sores on the mouth. But a lot of people can either get genital herpes from someone going down on them or genital to genital contact. So I ended up going to my gyno a few days later to get the blood test. And that came back positive, which is interesting because I think I got it from a one-night stand that I had like a week before that. But with herpes, when you get a blood test, it can show up negative even if you're positive, like if you just got it, because it needs about up to 3 months to build antibodies, and like it's testing for the antibodies. So that's what's like it's checking for. So it needs time. So I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't this one night stand. Maybe it was someone that I was seeing before or something. So that's the thing with herpes. Like there's no way to sometimes know who you got it from because it can also live dormant. And then so for people who want to get tested for herpes but don't have any symptoms, doctors will sometimes tell you no, because the blood test is kind of faulty. There's false negatives, false positives. And if you're not showing symptoms, you've never had a symptom, doctors think that like the psychological repercussions of knowing your status is worse than like than not. Like it's just like it would be better to not know just because everyone has it. So they're just like it's not worth you knowing, which I think is not good.
Yeah, that doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me.
I think it adds to the stigma. I think if they're not going to test and be like, that's fine, but I think they should let people know like, hey, you probably have herpes, but we can't really test for it because it's kind of faulty, like unless you're showing symptoms or like whatever. But yeah, they don't. So no one, when you're getting tested, you're not getting tested for herpes. Like you have to specifically ask or be showing symptoms.
Very, very interesting. All right, I got some like detail-oriented questions now. So the differences between HSV 1 and 2, herpes simplex virus 1 would be on the mouth and 2 would be on the genitals.
So usually that's like what people think is like HSV 1 is just cold sores, HSV 2 is just genital. But now because people do oral more, which love that, because you can transmit cold sore, like you can transmit oral herpes genitally, even with no cold sore present, because there's something called shedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So obviously you're most contagious when you have an outbreak present, but like with shedding, there's no way to know. So this is why disclosure is so important, because like even if you get cold sores, you should be disclosing, because so many people are getting cold sores from it or genital herpes. So yeah. And there's just like, there's no way to know if you're contagious or not. The longer you have it, the less you'll shed usually, because the less outbreaks you get as time goes on. But yeah, I think I read some statistic that like as of 5 years ago or so, like there's more cases of genital herpes that are HSV 1 than HSV 2. So yeah, so it's very common. And then the other thing, reverse, like if you go down on someone who has genital herpes, it doesn't really transmit to the mouth. Like it's possible, but it's like a 99% chance, like it won't transmit to the mouth.
Okay. So they really are completely different strains of the herpes virus.
Not like they're the same, just different.
Different.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like, like herpes can be kind of tricky, but yeah, like once it's genital, like to transmit to someone's mouth is just more rare for whatever reason.
Okay.
But if people are worried, you can use like dental dams or condoms if you want to. Like, I personally don't.
Right.
but if people feel more comfortable, like
sure, it's an option.
It's an option. Yeah.
What's the prevalence? I'm a bad flirt coach. I didn't look up what a statistic, maybe the percentage of population globally or in a specific country. Is it over half? Yeah.
It's over 1 in 5 people ages 14 to 49 in the whole world has genital herpes.
Okay, that's pretty high.
Big number. And then over 2/3 of the entire world gets cold sores.
Okay. So there is a good chance if you're out there dating, hooking up, that you may encounter herpes.
Yeah. And people already have and not even have known. You either people have it disclosed to you or the person you're sleeping with has no idea that they have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just everywhere. So that's why it's like, it's so important that we like destigmatize it, because it's just like it's so prevalent. We just need to be talking about it, and people just need to not like fear it. Like obviously we don't want to like transmit to anyone, but like if it happens, it's also like okay. Like there's for the most part there's no like health risk to having it. It's just kind of like shows up occasionally, and it's
it's not something I think people or like what I did initially was I made the correlation between herpes and something like HIV. Right. Like in STIs and STI, and like they're somehow all the same. But they're, of course they're not. So, I mean, you can have herpes, it could be dormant in your body. And when the symptoms present themselves, they are manageable. It is something you can live with and still have a grateful, healthy life with lots of sex, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a big example of that. But it's funny though, like with HIV is once you take your medication for it, you can't transmit the virus. So it's actually like in a way, like not saying that it's like safer. Like I'm not trying to compare either one or one's better than the other, but like if you're taking your meds for HIV, you cannot transmit the virus. Yeah. And then like, but with herpes, there's kind of like, you can take medication for it, but there's no complete elimination of potentially transmitting to someone. Like there's no way to be like, oh, I'm on medication, so I can't transmit to you. It's like, it's still possible. So that's why it's like, they're all manageable. All STIs are curable or manageable. And like the manageable ones are obviously like different in how that works.
Yes. Okay. And that was going to be one of my nitty gritty questions, like is when it comes to transmission of herpes, does a sore have to be, or like does herpes have to be visible, right? Does it have to be present? And you're saying not necessarily.
Yeah. So I think most of the time when it's transmitted, people aren't having symptoms because like obviously you would abstain. Like I definitely got it from someone who wasn't showing symptoms. So that would be the shedding that happens. So it's like you're contagious without knowing. But the longer you have it, the less you shed. And people who do know they have herpes, like you can usually identify, obviously, when you have an outbreak, but you can identify like the onset of your symptoms, which is called prodrome. So usually for people, they'll get like nerve pain or like a feeling of tingliness, like either like in the genital region, like upper thigh area, or like people like around their mouths. That's usually an indicator that an outbreak is coming. Or you'll have like swollen lymph nodes. Everyone's symptoms will be like pretty unique.
Okay. That's helpful. I got a couple more questions here about testing. So it sounds like, I mean, herpes is one of those things where like, if you were to be exposed to it and like, you're not going to test positive for it the next day or even the next week. It's something that it's because you're testing the antibodies. So you're testing your body's response, your immune response to the actual herpes virus, which takes up to maybe a month. So
it's like 1 to 3 months or so. Yeah.
Okay.
Same with HIV is also up to 3 months. I think it's just herpes and HIV. Usually gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, I think is like up to a week. Pretty quick. Again, like people who want to get tested the next day, like for whatever you want to get tested for, like it's not going to show up. Like you got to wait a little bit of time.
Okay. And this was something I picked up from an interview I listened to, where if you were to go to the doctor, maybe for a routine screening, annual physical, something like that, and receive an STI panel, herpes may not be a part of that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Herpes is not included on the standard STI panel unless you are showing symptoms or you specifically ask. And if you specifically ask, they might also just say no.
Yeah. Okay. So gotta advocate for yourself, right? Just
exactly. Yeah. Most people don't know they're not getting tested for. Another thing I always like to share for people is if you are giving head to like whatever person, like you can get gonorrhea or chlamydia in your throat and it won't show up through urine. You would have to get a swab on your throat. So like when you're getting tested, I always ask for a throat swab as well. Cause people don't know that they think that like if you do the urine, it would be like everywhere. Right. It's just for genital. Like you need to just swab for this. This
is really helpful. Cause I'm like, you know, we hear about just get the blood test and test for, you know, HIV or something like that. But it's to be more comprehensive with your sexual health and your whole body health too, right? Sometimes gotta ask those questions to make sure you're getting tested appropriately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think there was like a saying, it's like if it, oh fuck, I can't remember. But if it's like there's like if you put it like in a hole, like swab the hole, like something cheeky, like swab all your holes is the bottom.
Basically, you know what? A new life motto when you're going to the doctor. Swab all the holes.
Swab everything. Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with that. I want to ask you now about treatment. So what a herpes outbreak may be like, what that feels like, and different treatment options. Yeah.
So for most people, their first initial outbreak will be the worst. So like mine was more painful. It wasn't like horrific, but I definitely was like in bed, like trying to like soothe myself. Some people will have like a ton of sores. I didn't have like a crazy amount, but like more than I usually get now. So like the first one is also usually accompanied by like flu-like symptoms. It can last like usually like 1 to 3 weeks is like common for a first outbreak.
Okay.
You can take Valtrex, which is medication for it. So it'll help speed up the healing as well as preventing new outbreaks. So some people will choose to take Valtrex daily as like a suppression, whether it's for not getting outbreaks or also to help prevent transmitting.
Okay.
Because it really reduces the amount that you shed the virus.
Okay.
I think it's like over like 50%. So you can do that. And then for like topical stuff, I actually make and sell an oil for herpes outbreaks. You can get it on my website, safeslut.shop. It's just like a natural,
Yeah. What do you put in it? Let's hear about it. I love some natural wellness.
So yeah, I am also like an herbalist, esthetician. So I'm like knew about like herbs before I got herpes. And then I was just like looking through books when I got diagnosed. I was like, oh, what can I make for myself? And then I found this. I like found a bunch of herbs that were good for herpes. So I turned it into an oil and used it on myself, and it worked really well. So I started selling it because I was like, well, people need this. Because it's also like really gentle, because obviously it's a very like sensitive area. So I don't want people to like burn their genitals off.
Chemicals down there or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just like really calming. So there's that. You can also use like lidocaine if it's really bad. Like doctors can prescribe you lidocaine just so it like numbs.
Okay.
Just because like sometimes like walking can like hurt depending on where your outbreak is.
Okay.
And then for most people, you'll get an outbreak in the same spot every time. That's kind of nice to know. For me, like mine is not the same place. Mine will just show up like anywhere.
Okay.
So that's also like a common thing too.
Yeah. This is all really good information. And how long does an outbreak typically last?
The first one is like the longer one. It's like 1 to 3 weeks. For me now, I'm like over 5 years in. I don't really get outbreaks unless I'm really, really stressed out.
Okay.
And it will last like a day or two.
Oh, okay.
Like it's quick. Like it's not, so everyone's different. So some people will still get like maybe more intense ones, but I feel like most people, it will just be like maybe like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it goes away.
That's good to know that the first one is the worst.
Yeah. That's why I was like, wow, is this going to be this every time?
Right.
I'm like dying.
For real.
Yeah.
1 to 2 days. That's a long nap.
Yeah. And I still like work out. Like, I still go for runs.
Yeah. You still going about your life.
I'm like fine. And like one time I like had, I don't even know if I should say this, but like I had an outbreak like closer to like my butt. And like, the person I'm seeing was like they still figured me because they were like, I don't care.
Right.
So like I'm saying like it's up to whoever you're with of like, if you want to, I think obviously abstain if you have an outbreak, but like they were comfortable with like that risk and we still did that. So or it's like, you can do like, I don't know, you can make out or outer course. Like there's so many different things you can do if you have an outbreak. There are things.
There are things you could certainly use your hands.
Yeah. Make sure to wash them.
Wash them afterwards. Don't go right into the kitchen.
You still could like transmit it that way. So that would be like a risk if you're willing to take it.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's
listen to Tricia, not me. All right, we got to do, because a bunch of questions came through about disclosing status. Just running through a couple here. This person says, right, do you recommend disclosing status, particularly for HSV1, before kissing someone? Would it be before coming into the bedroom to explore physical intimacy, explore some type of sex? Like when and how do you share your status with somebody?
So you should always disclose your status before doing anything with someone that could potentially transmit to someone. Mm-hmm. So like if you get cold sores, like I feel like most people don't know that they should be disclosing it. Mm-hmm. So like the majority of people who get cold sores don't disclose when like they should be.
Yeah.
And I can see how it does feel a little bit more daunting to disclose before kissing someone.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing it before sex, because like I'd be kissing everywhere, like when I'm out, like I'm just like, so I can see how that's a little bit like harder, but I think it is the right move. And I think if you tell people it's cold sores, they're just going to be like, okay, like I probably have it too. Like, and then for like genital herpes, you can make out and all of that stuff without disclosing. Like it's not lying to them. It's like, just do it when that like your genitals will be coming into contact with them, then you should be telling them. And I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do it. Like I think a lot of people get nervous. They don't want to do it face to face. That's fine. Like do it through text. Who cares? Yeah. Like I don't make it like a big thing. I usually do it through in person though. Just I feel like I like a conversation, but my disclosing is like kind of unique now because I'll usually just go, did you see me on Instagram?
Right.
Yeah, they would be like,
yeah.
I know. So it's a little bit different for me, but I like out myself. But text, FaceTime, call, go for a walk is important. I think people get really nervous to disclose, which is very fair. Yeah. But I think because we're so focused on disclosing that we forget that they're also disclosing too. Like we can't forget to ask them about their status.
Exactly.
So like my biggest tip, I always say this, is like when I'm disclosing and like if I don't know how to like start the conversation, but I know it's like headed like sexually, like I'll just kind of be like, oh, like when were you last tested? So that it like opens the conversation without me just like blurting it out. And it gives me like a chance to like pause and their status is just as important. And like how they talk about it is going to be really telling, because it's like, if they're like, oh, I've never been tested, like I don't feel safe with you. Like, and just because I have an STI doesn't mean that like, it doesn't matter. Like I'll sleep with whoever. Like, no, like you need to also have been tested as well.
Yes.
And then like when I respond, like their response to it will be telling of their character. Like this hasn't happened to me, but like if someone's like, ew, gross, I'm like, the fuck? Like I just shared something really vulnerable and like it was really hard for me to tell you this. And like I'm doing this because I like you. And if they respond poorly, like that's on them. Like that's their shitty character and I don't want to be with them. So it's very telling.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing, Tricia. Yeah, this is all really good tips. It's like it's about managing risk tolerance for both people, for everyone involved. And so like when you're disclosing status, like definitely important, do that before clothes come off, because in the moment you may sacrifice that conversation and not have it all together. You may not want to tell someone because, oh, what if they don't like me, or what if they don't want to like do whatever with me, kind of thing. And so then like more emotions maybe come into the conversation versus having it before the clothes come off or before you're going to do whatever you're about to do. It's about, hey, this is what's going on with me, but vice versa, you get to learn about the other person as well. And like you said, if they're really dismissive, if they're like, oh, testing what? Well, I don't need to do that. Like, what's that for? Or they judge you in some way. Like, this isn't like, I used to forego having these conversations altogether because I was worried someone wouldn't pick me, right? They wouldn't choose me. Like somehow me
it'd be uncool.
Yes. Right. Yeah, it was so true. Like, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be easy. I wanted to be.
I'm a former chill girl.
Yes.
So I get it. Yeah. And I would always be the type that's like, if they didn't want to use a condom, I'd be like, okay, like that's fine. And then I'd panic the next morning about it. Yeah. I relate. Yeah.
Yeah. I say discussing statuses, that's the cool thing, because because now like if you have any anxiety around that, you're going to have you're going to have your answers. And we hope the people that we're having these conversations with are they're forthcoming, and and we can still manage our own risk tolerance too. You know, like if you're in the queer community, like PrEP is a big tool to manage HIV contraction, perhaps. So like there's still tools and things you can use to manage risk and hopefully just have as much fun as we can possibly have.
Exactly. And I feel like it also makes people feel safer when you have these conversations. Like, I think people also are scared it will like ruin the mood, but like making someone feel safe will enhance the mood because you'll have better sex because you're not like, oh, like worried.
Yeah.
You know?
I have found that to be very true.
Yeah. I've even like disclosed to people, like I used to practice disclosing when I was first diagnosed on dating apps, and I would disclose like right off the bat or just like whatever. And people, a lot of responses I would get would be like, oh wow, like that's so cool of you to like share. Like
yes.
it's hot that you said that because like I feel safer or something.
Totally.
Like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm curious, maybe are there any misconceptions people have about herpes?
Oh my God, there's so many. Well, I feel like in like pop culture, there's so many just like herpes jokes. So people don't, I think the main thing is people don't realize that it's everywhere, that most people have it. That's the biggest thing. It's like the people who are making herpes jokes, I'm like, you probably have herpes. Unless you're like totally abstinent, like you probably have herpes or have encountered it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest one. I think how it spreads is a big misconception. People think they're like, oh, like if you share a bathroom with someone or you like hot tubs, like
share a drink or a straw.
Share a drink. Like it doesn't work like that. Like it is skin to skin contact.
Skin to skin.
Obviously if someone has a cold sore, they're drinking from a straw and they immediately let someone have a sip of it. Like, sure. Yeah. Like probably could transmit that way.
Okay.
But the virus doesn't live on surfaces for too long.
Okay.
So it mostly has to be that like skin to skin contact.
And I would think that really plays into the stigma, right? Of like, if someone has herpes and then like, oh, you don't want to share like the shower with them or something like that. Yeah. And it's totally safe to do so.
Yeah. So safe. Or it's like, people think that like only people who are like slutty or promiscuous get herpes and like, yeah, like I got it from that. But like a lot of people can get it. Like I know someone who got it before they even had penetrative sex because their partner had cold sores, went down on them when they were in high school. Then they got it. I know someone who got it on their wedding night. They were supposed to be virgins because they were Mormon. He already had it because, so like she got it on like the first person she ever slept with. So it's just not for just sluts.
Right.
Not all sluts, not all herpes are sluts, but all sluts are herpes. I don't know.
Breaking stigma. That's what we're doing today. This has been fantastic. I got a few more questions for you. Can we talk about hookups for a moment?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, what do you think about hookup culture and dating?
Okay, so I used to engage in hookup culture a lot in my 20s. Now that's not my vibe. I probably lean a little bit more demi / like it's just not as fun for me. Okay. But sometimes if I'm out and like the vibe is there, like sure, it's fun. Yeah. But I feel like I see a lot of this on like TikTok that people are like, oh, like hookup culture like harms women. This is for like straight people where they're like, it only benefits men. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because like, I feel like that's taking away agency for women who are like really sexual and like, maybe they like more casual encounters. Like maybe that's fun for them. That's hot. They want to. So I think like saying that like puts the focus on men and like, so I think casual sex and hookup culture is totally fine and it can be fun. Yeah. As long as that's like what the person wants. And as long as I think they're being safe. And I think another thing with like hookup culture is like, there's this idea that like, it's so casual. So you don't have to like give a shit, but like you still have to respect the person, even if you're not in a relationship with them. Like, it's just like common decency to like be kind and like respect. But yeah, I think I have no problem with it. I think it's fun. It was fun back in my day.
Yeah, as I've like kind of like never really participated in it, but as I was sharing earlier, like I've been having some hookups recently, Tricia.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and some have been good, some have been meh, some have been like none have been bad, but it's like I am learning what I like, what I don't like. I feel like I'm learning how to be more confident. I'm just learning, right, what feels good, really leaning into the experiences of pleasure. And I'm really practicing having these conversations around consent, around boundaries, around status, right? So I can, play safe and manage my own risk tolerance. And like, I have so many thoughts about it. It's like, it depends, because I see a lot of those videos on TikTok and across social media as well. And it's like, I don't think it's inherently bad or good. I think it's a relatively new thing in dating. Like, I don't think it used to be as prevalent as it is today, because we used to meet our potential partners through our social networks. And there was that stigma there. So if you hooked up with someone you were dating too early, it probably got back to the friend, to the family member, to like the neighbor, right? And then you had all of this judgment, like, oh my God, so-and-so had sex, right?
Like they first on the first date,
Right, and that judgment was usually passed on the woman if we're talking about heterosexual, heteronormative dating. And it's like, really? Well,
I think like dating apps have like totally changed that, because you're like, oh, this is kind of like a random stranger, or like you meet someone like out at a party. Yeah, and I think there's so much like black and white thinking on social media that people don't understand like nuance. That's another story.
Oh my gosh.
But but I also feel like like it's fine. Like I'm in my lover girl era, so like hookup culture hasn't like appealed to me in a long time. But like when I was into it, like it's fun. And like sometimes I met some really cool people and had like really good experiences. Sometimes they were kind of subpar, but like it was never like horrible, or like it never felt like, oh, like my pleasure wasn't important. Like like I wouldn't go home with someone who was just like gross.
Right.
Well, I have a few times, but like,
I've done it a time or two as well, and it makes for it gives you something to talk about at brunch or in the group chat. It's for the plot sometimes, right?
It's for the plot. Yeah, do it for the plot.
But what you were talking about, it's like, it doesn't mean we get to go out there and just use people, or all of a sudden, like, then you're going to, you're talking to your friends the next day and you're just like really being demeaning or dismissive of somebody. Or sometimes I feel like we use hooking up as a distraction sometimes, where like it's time and place, but like it's not likely like that hookup is like, where I'm going with this is we're longing for connection. We're yearning for those connections, and doesn't mean you can't have one in a hookup situation or scenario, but like, is that necessarily going to be the same as you would experience in a relationship, or someone you're starting to date, or someone that you're now being intimate with like over and over again, and you're learning each other's bodies, patterns, what you like, what you don't like. Like it's a lot. So many thoughts about it. Me too, because I think it takes a lot of like self-awareness and like self-assuredness to like engage in hookup culture. Because like for me, like there are times when I enjoyed it, but I think a lot of it for myself was like self-harm and like not being safe, being like disassociating. I've done like, that too. And it's like I was like so deeply wanted connection, but was like seeking it in like through like casual encounters like that. Obviously like wasn't the space for that. And like I didn't have the tools at the time to like realize that's like not what I wanted, or like to ask for more kind of thing. So like, that's why I think I like have realized that hookup culture like isn't my vibe. But like I'll go to a play party once or twice, in the right headspace. But like, I think it takes a lot of self-awareness to like do hookup culture right, and to not just because it's like, it shouldn't just be like mindless. Like I think it should still be like intentional and like, I think so too. I really have to manage. Intention is a great word. I have to manage my expectations. I have to really be, I'm not just going to hook up with anybody. Like I'm paying attention to how they're communicating. Like there still has to be at least a bare minimum level of respect and decency. Like, because at the end of the day, I got two hands. Like if it's just about the orgasm, I can take care of that
I can do it myself.
Exactly. But it's like that, because I get the question all the time. It's like, how soon is too soon? If I hook up on a first date, like what does that mean? How do I know? Like this tends to be a question from women or daters dating men, right? How do I know if he's just after one thing, if that's all he wants kind of thing? And it's ultimately, I think when you are empowered in your own sexuality, it's like a lot of those questions, they're going to be more secondary than primary.
Yeah, totally. And I think I think collectively we all like overthink and we're like, oh, like we don't want to do the wrong thing. We want to time everything right and perfectly. Yeah. And like, I think obviously if it's like the right person, they're not going to give a shit if you sleep with them on the first date or the fifth date. Like, it, like literally, like if it's the right person, they're not going to think less of you. And it's, and it's also like they had sex with you on the first date too. If they think less of you, they should think less of themselves as well.
Right.
When I was dating, or I went on a first date with this guy years ago. And we were like vibing, we were like making out at the bar. And then he was like, do you want to go home with me? And I was like, yeah, I'm down, but like, I'm not going to have sex with you, but we can just like make out, like hang out. And he was like, cool. Because if you did sleep with me, I would have thought less of you. And I was like, but you asked, like, you literally were like, do you want to come home and have sex with me?
Right.
So like you were down to do it, but like you would only think less of me, even though you were the one that initiated it. And it's just like this, like, oh, like that's the like patriarchal, like slut shamey, like where it's like the woman is disgusting for doing that, but like it's fine if he did that.
Right. The double standard. Yeah. And you're gonna encounter daters like that, but like you through just having conversation, you were able to figure that out for real.
I was like, what? It's so odd. But that's why like I only date queer people now. Like it's just, and it's like, it's a very different different experience than dating just like straight guys.
Oh my God. So that could be time where that could be a whole second part of the episode.
Yeah, a whole second episode.
My final question, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your sex work and how you got into that and how that's going for you. Yeah.
So I like always say this, like when I was like in my like early 20s, I was like, I want to be a porn star like so badly. Like I've always been like so drawn to like the slutty characters in film and media, or just like I always love like porn stars. I just think they're like so like glamorous and cool and like goddesses. And so when I got herpes, I like joked to myself, I was like, oh my God, like I guess I can't be a porn star. And like I never like obviously thought that was going to happen. And then like once I started doing Safe Slut, I have a Patreon where I do like writing and like herpes support and all this stuff. And I also post like nudes and stuff.
Okay.
And so I started on Patreon, and then I was like, well, you can't post videos on Patreon. Right. So then I moved to OnlyFans. And so I've been doing like solo stuff. I do collabs with people. And so I'll do like little scenes, and I'll do like customs. Like I do like everything on there, and then I've done a few like mainstream porn scenes. So yeah. And it's like funny because I was like, oh my God, I have herpes, I can't do porn. But everyone in porn has herpes. And it's not to say like, just because like porn stars have herpes, but it's like, just because like everybody has herpes. It's like, and obviously like you're engaging with more people in that scene. So it's like, you're just more likely to get it. So it's very common. Like I've actually filmed with more people who don't have herpes than who do. So yeah, but it's not like a deterrent in the adult world for having herpes. Very common.
Breaking barriers and stigma all over the place.
Everywhere.
Doing it, Tricia. And are some of those conversations around consent, disclosure, status, all that good stuff similar in that line of work? Yeah. Is it like,
you're having the same conversations. If not, they're more like clear cut. Like, cause it's like, you have to like sign paperwork before. And like, you also like, I like really vet people. Like if I'm filming with men, like I'd be vetting. So then obviously like you have to get tested like every 2 weeks when you're filming consistently. And so then you have to share your, you like show your test to your like scene partner. And then herpes isn't included on that. So I always say like, also like I have herpes, and usually it's like, they follow me. They're like, I know.
I know.
So it's like, it's actually like in a way it's like nice. Cause it's like we're having the same conversations we do in dating, but it's way more just like, this is just like part of the gig. Is like, you have to have these conversations like expected. So it does feel safer. And I think also, along with like the hookup culture, just like exploring your sexuality, for me, like porn has been a fun way to explore my sexuality and to make money. So love that.
Totally. Yeah. Can I tell you another secret?
Yes.
So I had an OnlyFans.
Oh my God.
I've never disclosed that on Flirtations. Yeah, I had it. It's no longer in existence. It was all solo work. I had it for a year, and I was like, at my height, I got to 26 subscriptions.
That's really good. That's honestly like more than most people like make like no money.
It put me in the top third, at least that's what OnlyFans said, in the top third of creators. And I was like, wow, I did that. And then, but then I wanted to wind it down after a few months. But one of those first subscriptions was an annual. and they wouldn't let me delete my OnlyFans until all the subscriptions ran out. So I had to keep it for a whole year.
Oh, why did you want to delete it?
It just, well, I mean, I wasn't making like any kind of significant money from it yet. And I was like, how are people going to find out about this? And so like, how am I going to advertise? And like, I'm not really going to advertise it on, like, you can't really do that on TikTok. You
can't do it on TikTok or Instagram.
No.
Most people don't know I do sex work because I literally can't talk about it.
And you can't talk about it. And I got in trouble violating some community guidelines initially. I was like, oh, okay, how are people going to find out about this? So then you have to go to maybe, is it Twitter or X, or like you go to some of those
Twitter,
other platforms,
Reddit.
like a Reddit, exactly. And I was like, oh, this is so much work. We're just going to wind this down.
Sex work is so much work.
So
like
much.
Even I make like a okay amount, but it's not like I still have like a full-time job. Like it's not, you know. And I always wonder though, like how many subscribers I would have if I was able to market myself on Instagram.
Yeah, it's like that's probably your biggest platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But they Instagram said no.
Like, absolutely not.
This has been amazing. Tricia, thank you so much for being on the show today. I want to leave the Flirties with where they can find you, follow you. I'll have links listed below in the show notes for this episode, and just any final words or insights.
I feel like I always say this at the end of my podcast is you can still be a slut if you have herpes. Yeah.
Herpes hottie.
Herpes hotties. Yeah.
I love it. Safe.slut on Instagram.
Yes. Safe.slut on Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
Safe_slut on Twitter.
Okay.
My OnlyFans is Safe Slut with a V, not a U, because you can't say slut on OnlyFans, which is weird.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my Patreon Safe Slut, YouTube Safe Slut, and then what am I forgetting? My shop, safeslut.shop.
Yeah, so they can get the oils.
Get the oils and my merch.
And your merch. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes. All those links coming below in the show notes. This has been just really, really fun. Tricia, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Having this conversation with us. That's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations, the herpes, STIs, and destigmatizing sexual health episode of the program. Thank you so much to Tricia Wise for coming on the show today and sharing so much about herself, her experiences, perspectives, so much incredible information, knowledge, and wisdom with us so we can feel more empowered in our dating lives and our sex lives and have more fun and focus on pleasure, right? Giving and receiving, because that's what it's all about. And we want to feel good doing it and feel safe doing it. Be those safe sluts, be those herpes hotties, perhaps, if that fits for us. Yes. Thank you so much to Tricia for being on the show today. Lots of good links there for you in the show notes for this episode to learn more about Tricia, to follow her, some resources there for you as well. Thank you, Tricia. And thank you to you, the Flirties, for being here, for tuning in, for listening, for streaming, wherever you are in the world. I so appreciate your time and your attention and tuning in to these episodes and this good old show we call Flirtations. Thank you again for being here. If you haven't already, please rate, review, subscribe to the show. 5 stars, comments, yes, reviews, engaging any which way you can. You're feeling called to do. I really appreciate it. And then share this episode or another favorite episode with a friend, a family member, someone you know, someone you like, even a little bit, want to share some BFE, big flirt energy with, you feel may benefit from this episode today or another of Flirtations. Yes. Okay. That's going to do it for me here at Flirt Headquarters, signing off officially. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.